Obviously, before going to war, you're going to ask the combat veterans in your unit what were their experiences so you can learn from them. And they're going to give you great advice. They're going to give you some good tips, but they're also going to give some advice that might seem a little bit questionable. And I've got a couple today that I want to speak about. The first one I want to say is people tell me that there is such a thing as a safe job in war. They'll tell you, don't worry, you're going to be in a safe role. You're not going to be on the front line. But the truth is, there's no such thing anymore. Yes, it is more safe if you're not on the zero line, but it doesn't matter where you are. Missiles, drones, saboteurs, they will come after you. Whether it's more common or less common, there is no safe role. Every major military today has drones that can hit anything, anywhere. If the enemy decides that you're important, you are marked on a tier list. And if you're known to be in a certain area, your days are numbered. And the thing is, maybe they see the infantry unit as the biggest threat right now. So they're gonna throw everything at those infantry to wipe them out. And after that happens, maybe they decide your drone team, a couple kilometers behind, is the real problem. And now they're gonna hunt down you. Or maybe you're the FPV engineer working in a lab hundreds of kilometers behind the front line, and they decide they're gonna strike you because they know you're part of the long game. You're the one that's producing the FPVs. You're the true problem. Modern warfare means death is everywhere. You can't hide behind a job title. If they think you matter, you are on a target list. So the real only safe job is the one that they haven't found yet. The high command of militaries have a long-term strategy. They have a long-term goal. And there's a smaller strategy within that, which has target lists, what needs to be destroyed before conducting that operation. Take for instance, when Israel bombed Iran. They wanted to get to the nuclear centrifuges. They wanted to hit those key nuclear sites and commanders. Well, you can only do that with F-35s, but in order to get F-35s that deep, they have to take out the anti-air defenses. They have to take out the radar stations. There's a lot of checks that have to be marked before they can complete that mission. I'm sure a lot of those guys working at radio stations, a security guard at a radio station 1,000 kilometers from the border of Iran, did not expect that they were gonna be bombed. But you just don't know what the strategy is at that time. The second worst piece of advice that I got was, it's something that I'm passionate about, it's something that could be argued, but they told me, buy all the Gucci gear. Tactical, that's what matters. Get the best tactical gear and then you'll be unstoppable. The truth is, fancy kit rarely saved me. Sure, night vision helped me once in that one combat operation where I had to recover one of our downed drones. And yes, I had to borrow that night vision in order to do that mission. But most of the time, extra gear just makes you a really attractive loot drop when you're dead. When I was in Iraq, I would watch a lot of the internationals there weigh themselves down with the latest kit, because they had money, unlike the Kurds, and they were able to buy nice helmets and nice plate carriers with side sappies and the latest plates and night vision on some instances. But instead of looking at them and my Marine Corps background, where we had better gear than the Kurds, I looked at the Kurds. How did they operate? Why did they operate that way? Well, the Kurds didn't wear any helmets. They had an AK with a couple magazines on a slim carrier that didn't have any plates in it. And I wondered why? Like, why wouldn't they just upgrade? There's free helmets right here. There's a Camelback. And the reason is because we operate out of tunnels, and these tunnels are really tight. You have to be able to run around really, really fast through them in order to exchange ammunition or exchange word on where the enemy is. And if you're trying to crawl through the tunnels with plate carriers on, you're gonna have a really hard time. The protection, your defense, your armor is the mountain that you are underneath. And that is why the Kurds operate that way. So the way that I ran in Iraq was very counter to what I was taught in the Marine Corps and then afterwards Ukraine. But I did add on a couple things that I thought would help me. A small IFAK that I had on my side, a light on my rifle. I would wear a helmet in some cases if we were being bombed, as well as a dump pouch. But it wasn't a $30 dump pouch that you buy in the store. It was from a burned out RPG bag that I saw on the side of the hill, and I cut out one of the pouches on the side of it, and that was now my dump pouch that I could carry anything in. You don't need the best gear. The sling of my rifle was given to me. When it broke, I used 550 core, and I ran that for like a couple months. But nonetheless, I only had the bare essentials, and that's how I did it. And then when I went to Ukraine, I ran with very similar gear. I wouldn't buy the best stuff. And I get it, the best stuff is lighter. There's reasons to have it. And I would never knock somebody for having good gear, but I just don't think that you need to take out a $10,000 loan in order to get the best night vision for that one operation where you're probably not even gonna use it to its full potential. But the worst thing that I've seen is that they get lazy, and it's not everybody. I know plenty of people who invest in that stuff and they invest in the training. But one thing I've noticed is that it doesn't matter what gear you have. If you don't train with it, you are not gonna be effective on the battlefield. I don't need an LCAN or a red dot on my AK that needs constant replenishment of batteries or dialing it in so it's accurate enough before every mission. I would go with the iron sights because the iron sights rarely lie. It doesn't matter how much you bang it around. It's meant to hold its zero pretty dang good. And it worked for me. I was able to shoot down that drone. But again, there's a lot of people who rely on that gear that requires batteries and it requires dialing in and all these things. And at the end of the day, if you can't operate without your gear, you are not ready for real war. And that's all I want to say about that. The third worst piece of advice that I need to say, and I'm very passionate about, is I was told before getting into FPVs is that I am too late into the game. FPV's been around for a year, you're too late, just focus on infantry. The drone stuff is too complicated, leave it to the tech guys. But anybody who's seen Ukraine up close knows that drones aren't the future, they are the now. And the only way to catch up is to start. Yeah, it's a steep learning curve. It took Alex and I over half a year just to get good enough to make a real difference. But we did, and it changed the battlefield for the better. Not only resupplying our troops on the front, but also bombing targets with firebombs, as well as your typical HE. We hit things that the enemy never expected, because before then, they never saw a cheap bomber drone conducting hourly hits on the trenches. We forced the Russians to adapt, because we put in 6 months of hard work. So look, some people are gonna act like they're gatekeepers, like it's too technical, it's too complicated, stick to your lane. But don't listen to that. Get liftoff, learn how to fly. You're gonna learn how the enemy flies through that as well. If you want to change the game, learn the new tools, get your hands dirty, build it yourself. The only bad time is to never start. You're gonna fail, you're gonna make mistakes. How many failures did I have during the FPV stuff? A lot, but it was worth it. Not only in Ukraine, but now I'm carrying that technology with me and able to make a difference all over the world. Don't let people gatekeep. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The fourth worst piece of advice that I got was tech is gonna save you. It goes a lot with what I said in point 2, but this one's popular in every modern military. The enemy has the same basic survival instincts you do. They have fight or flight, and when survival's on the line, people innovate. Whether they're broke or high-tech, it doesn't matter. When the sky was filled with F-16s and high-tech drones, the Kurds and us hid inside the tunnels. Look at the Taliban. They won. They hid in tunnels. The Viet Cong also won. They lived in tunnels. ISIS did the same, as well as ISIS started the drones that we see today. From random wiring and 3D printed parts, they paved the way into the bomber drones that we see today. When pushed to the edge, people will do anything to stay alive, whether they're good or bad. Tech helps. Until it doesn't. Batteries die, GPS gets jammed, comms go down, and when that happens, it's you and your grit that will keep you alive. If you're soft without your tech, you're already dead. And that's part of the reason that we kept our tech, the bomber drones, the FPVs that we made, very simple. We could have went the digital route. We could have had a clearer picture with GPS functionality, and yes, that will help you, but the cost is 5 times more. And what I've found, and I've documented on my channel, if you train hard enough on liftoff, if you train hard enough in practice, you're gonna be just as effective as those high-tech bombers. Training makes the difference, it is not the tech. The fifth worst piece of advice that I wanna say is that's not your job, which also goes in line with point 3. The worst line you're ever gonna hear in uniform, don't worry about that. It's not your job. Actually, it is your job. There's never been a time in combat where I wished I was cross-trained on a weapon system. If you're going into combat, learn everything you can get your hands on. Don't just do what's on your lesson plan or in your job title. Go beyond it. If you don't know how a weapon system works, look it up. There's Google, there's YouTube. If you don't know how artillery or drones work, ask questions, run your own drills, test ideas. In big militaries, the chain of command often punishes curiosity. You'll hear, stop asking, just follow orders. But when you hit the field and get surprised by something nobody taught you, that surprise can kill you. Every surprise that I ever got in my first contact with the enemy made me angry, furious. Why didn't anybody tell me how artillery sounded? Why didn't anybody tell me before I stepped off with this rocket how the rocket actually worked? How do I even arm it? So now I tell people, learn everything, cross-train, hold your own side sessions. That's why I have this YouTube channel. I teach you guys this stuff. Share knowledge. The fewer surprises you have, the longer you're gonna last, and the more beneficial you'll be to your unit. And the last worst piece of advice that I ever got was that people would tell me, just give up. That's what they tell you when you fail. Maybe you should just quit. But don't. If you watched my last video, you know that I've had a decade of failures. Injuries, lost jobs, drones that didn't work, missions that went sideways, but every failure was a chance to learn, not a reason to stop. Nobody learns to shoot straight on day one. Nobody flies an FPV perfectly the first time or first couple times. Nobody's born ready to face death. If you fail, own it, then stand back up, learn from your mistakes, and go forward. The people telling you to quit are just uncomfortable watching you keep going. Prove them wrong, and it's gonna be better for you. It's gonna make you into the character of a man that you probably should be, not only for yourself, but for your team. So yeah, those are the worst piece of advices that I ever got when I was in the military before going to combat. And I just wanted to give that to you because, man, the world gets discouraging. People want to discourage you. And the one thing that I found is that if I wanted to go infantry, I hike more. If I want to learn FPVs, I start right now. I start right now, and I commit myself for the next couple months that it's gonna suck. It's not gonna be easy, but I'm gonna do it because it's gonna better my team. And I put in the hard work, and it worked out. And anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you learned something. I hope you guys feel encouraged from this, and get out there and train. See you guys in the next one. Peace.